This is Handwriting Analysis Part 2. For this video, I'm going to be going through how to properly analyze a handwriting sample. You're going to be doing this with your handwriting and with somebody else's handwriting and eventually with an unknown handwriting sample. When you're doing these activities, you want to make sure you have your note sheet. So you should have this note sheet, which you should have filled in some extra information during the part 1 of the video to add to the notes. And you should also have a copy of this note sheet as well, showing you the proper format, which I'm going to be showing you how to complete today. You're also going to need a copy of the handwriting analysis report. You're going to be filling in the top of the report. The name of the examiner is you, so you're going to fill in your name at the top of the paper. The date and section are not important. The document that's being examined, you should be labeling that based on the handwriting sample I gave you, whether it's the where will I be when I'm 30, the if I were the king of a new planet I would, or the my favorite childhood memory is, just so that I have an idea of what the content of the paper was. You can label that however you choose, as long as that is clear to me. You can also, in the unknown label, write the name of the person whose handwriting you're analyzing. So if it's not you, you're going to write the other person's name. So I'm going to write Inav because I have an example of a 7th grade handwriting sample that I'm going to be analyzing for you today. So I'm going to be showing you the document I'm analyzing and then showing you how to fill that information in on the handwriting analysis report. So when you have the actual handwriting sample, you're going to be doing a couple things. You're going to be marking each example of a handwriting characteristic 3 separate times in the paper. And there's going to be a specific way I would like you to label those examples. The first thing is you want to just basically go down the side of the handwriting analysis report. So you can see on the left-hand side here, there are names of the characteristic of the handwriting. So first we have line quality, spacing of words and letters, ratio of height, width, and size of letters, pen lifts, etc. as you go down. Those are also the same words that are used on the note sheet. So if you have to refer back to the note sheet for line quality, go back to your notes on line quality and see what you took as notes from part 1 of the video. What I would do before you begin is label numbers along the left-hand side. So for line quality, there's only one example of this characteristic that you're going to need to label. So you can label it number 1. For the spacing of letters and words, there's only going to be one time that you have to label the spacing of words and one time that you have to label the spacing of letters. So what you're going to do is you're going to label this 2 and this 3. The ratio of height and width and size of letters. I would like you to choose 2 separate letters for this characteristic. So what you're going to do is height will be number 4, width will be number 5. For 2 separate letters. Pen lifts, you can only label that one time. So we're going to have 6 here. Connecting strokes, you're going to find 2 separate examples of connecting strokes in your sample. So you're going to have one example for number 7 and one example for number 8. Strokes to begin and end, I'm only going to ask you to look for one of those. So you can label this 9. Unusual letter formation, I'm going to be looking for one of those as well, so that would be 10. Pen pressure, you can only label one time, so that will be number 11. Slant, you can only label once, so number 12. Baseline, number 13. Fancy writing habits, I want you to look for 1. And the placement of the diacritics, you're going to be looking for how people dot their I's and cross their T's. So this is going to be 15 and 16. So you guys should all have this set up where you have all of the numbers that you're going to be labeling inside the handwriting sample so that you can easily refer back and forth. So now we actually get to the handwriting sample. So the first one in here is line quality. So I'm going to refer back to my line quality note sheet and see that the 3 different ways it can be labeled are smooth, shaky or nervous, or the third option is juvenile or deliberate. So based on your notes, you're going to decide which of the handwriting examples are in this handwriting sample that you're analyzing, whether it's yours or somebody else's. So for this sample, I believe that this is considered juvenile handwriting. So what you're going to do is you're going to show me 3 separate times throughout the paper, once at the beginning, once at the middle, and once somewhere towards the end, that the line quality is consistently juvenile. So to do that, what you're going to do is you're going to underline or circle whatever that characteristic is and label it with the appropriate number. So I'm going to use the word modern, and I'm going to label this with a number 1. Somewhere in the middle of the paper, greater, number 1. And then somewhere towards the end of the paper, water, number 1. Now you want to make sure as you're analyzing the handwriting sample that you're using a different color pen than the sample was written in. So everybody wrote their handwriting samples in black pen. You need to make sure you're using another color pen. You can use red, you can use green, you can use purple, you can use blue. It doesn't matter, but it has to be a different color pen. So it's easy for me to see, just like it is here, that it's in red what I'm analyzing and that the original handwriting sample was in pencil. Now, once I've labeled it here in the handwriting sample, I need to go back to the original report and describe what I'm seeing. So I'm going to write this as juvenile. Okay, and that for this example, this is the only thing, I'm sorry, I'm misspelling here. That's the only thing you actually need to label. Okay, because in this case, there's 3 specific terms that you're supposed to use to describe the handwriting. Next, we're going to be moving on to spacing of words and letters. Now, for spacing of words and letters, you're actually going to be using a ruler. So you're going to take a ruler, you're going to measure the space between words. Okay, you're going to measure the space between letters. Now, some people have a lot of space in between letters and some people don't. So what you're going to do is you're actually going to, again, 3 times throughout the paper, find 3 spaces that are pretty consistent, mark them as number 2 for spacing of words. I'll label it here also as number 2. And down at the bottom here, I will label this one as number 2. Now, of course, when you're picking these, I don't have the ruler with me at the moment, so you're going to be picking 3 spaces that are actually similar in size. You do not need to measure the size of all of the spaces. You're just trying to get a general idea of the spacing between the letters, between the words in this case. So you're going to label those 3 spots. You're going to go back to your analysis report, and then next to number 2, you're going to tell me what the spacing was. So in this case, I'm going to estimate that the spacing was, let's say 10 millimeters. So 10 millimeters between words. Now I'm going to do the same thing with letters and label that as number 3. Pen lifts, connecting strokes, beginning to end, strokes to begin and end, unusual letter formation, pen pressure, all of those things you're just going to continue to label throughout the report, describing it and labeling within the handwriting sample in 3 separate locations of exactly what you're seeing and describing then on the analysis report. Once you're done, you're going to get to the bottom. It says, question number 4, list below additional observations you made or continuations from above. So what you're going to do is you're going to see if there's anything else that's specific about the handwriting sample that you think is valuable that you did not mention already going through the report. You may or may not see something to fill in for question number 4. But now you want to go back to the descriptions you have for the handwriting analysis of numbers 1 through 16. And you really want to focus in on 2 or 3 that you think are specific to only this person, that most people would not do, that you would use if you were actually undergoing an investigation. So for this question down here, which of the above characteristics were used in establishing your possible suspects? You would write, number 6, which is pen lifts, because there are no lifts, or whatever you described in the paper that you think is significant, okay? And you're going to have a total of 3 of those for this section. Now, since you know who wrote your handwriting sample, you are not responsible for filling out choice number 1 or choice number 2. You will only be doing that with the unknown handwriting sample. When you're done, the analyzed handwriting sample should have a lot of marks in it. Remember, there's 3 marks per characteristic, and there are 16 total characteristics that you're looking for. This should also be completely filled in and descriptive. So if I look at your analysis report and I look back at your handwriting sample, it should be clear to me what you were labeling and what you were trying to explain. When you're done, your analysis report and your handwriting sample should be stapled together with the report on top, and I will collect this from you on Monday. If you have any questions, you may come to Extra Help after school, and I will be there to help you.